Hey everyone, today in this video, I'm going to be checking out the Yeedi by ECOVACS. This is the Yeedi Cube Robot Vacuum and Mop. I did receive this sample to check out today, but any opinion expressed in this video is strictly my own. That being said, if you're interested in this product or you want to find out more about it, the link to it will be in the video description. Now let's go ahead, let's open it up and see what's inside. Here are some of the contents. First, you'll find our product literature, followed by our quick start guide, built into the cardboard packaging, which is pretty neat. 3 simple setup processes there. Next, we have our 2 side cleaning brushes, mop pad, see it from both sides, power cord, got a 90-degree connector right there, water tank plug. Then you'll see we have our detachable base as well as our detachable base extension if you want to use that. And then here's a look at the detachable base. We'll see it from all different sides and angles here. Now let's look at the rest of the contents. Next, you'll see our cube station right here, followed by our RoboVac. Let's look at both of these in more detail. At the top of the cube station, you'll see we have 2 removable pieces at the top. One's gonna be our dirty water tank, followed by the lid to get access to our self-empty with our vacuum bag already installed. For the dirty water tank, that also just lifts up and out of the way. Take a look at that from all different sides and angles, and then we just pop open the lid on both sides there to easily remove so we can empty and clean as needed. This will just snap right back in place again. Repeat that in reverse order. Snap one side in, the other side in, and then we can drop it right back in. And then this guy has handles on both sides, so you can easily just put it back in place. Here's a side profile look right here. You'll see on this side we have a sensor. Same can be said on the other side, as well as access visually to that dirty water tank to get a nice visual indicator to know when it's full. Here's a look at the very bottom. You'll see the grip feet that we have right here on the base. Here's a look at the back side. You'll see we have a grip handle here, followed by our power plug connector, and we have a channel down here to route that power cable either side out. This will help us keep it flush against the wall without the cord being in the way. And then front and center, you'll see the Yeedi logo and branding here, followed by all of our internals for charging, self-emptying, cleaning, and drying. Installing the detachable base is very simple and straightforward. You're just gonna line it up and it's just gonna slide and snap in place, just like that. And what's nice too, since this is detachable, very easy to remove by pushing those blue levers, so we can easily clean as needed. But just line it up and it'll just gently snap in place. And now our cube station is all set up and ready to go. Last but definitely not least, let's look at the RoboVac itself. You'll see from the top right here, we have a see-through design because we have the water tank built in, and we have this gray grip handle so we can easily move the vacuum around and press this lever to pop out the water tank to easily refill. You'll see what it looks like with the tank removed right here. You may have noticed as well too, at the top we have our sensor as well as our buttons for control and navigation. We also have a navigational bumper, and you'll see the movement that it's able to have as it's going around your environment. Looking at it from the very front, you'll see additional sensors there. We have to remove this before use. Gonna have some additional sensors. Got our exhaust right there for our air when it's vacuuming, and our dust outlet. This is gonna be for the self-empty, how the contents are removed from the bin. You'll see on the back side here, charging contacts. We also have a bin release. That's gonna give us access to our dust bin. Then we can easily just snap that right back in place. You'll see some more venting and exhaust. Power button here, right? So toggle that on or off. And additional sensors that we need to peel off the protective cover before use. We'll flip it over to the very bottom. You'll see omnidirectional wheel. We have our cliff sensors, spring-loaded drive wheels. This is where the side cleaning brushes are going to be installed. Then you'll see our main brush roller here. It's got a rubber and bristle hybrid design. Easy to remove, clean, and replace as needed. And then right here, you'll see where we're going to attach our included mopping pad. Really quickly, let me pop open the dustbin again, and we'll show you everything up close. We have cleaning and care instructions for the dustbin. You'll get a feel for its size. We have a filter right here that we can pop out as needed to clean and replace. So keep an eye on that as you're doing your typical maintenance. And then we have this blue push button up top to reveal the inside. If we ever want to manually empty it or clean it, you can do that as well. And then it just snaps right back in place. Now let's get the vacuum set up. First thing we're going to do is install the included water tank plug. We have a sticker up here letting us know that we need to do that as well. So a nice friendly reminder. Basically, the plug will only fit one way, so you'll want to push it and install it just like you see right here. And then we can just gently snap this right back in place on the vacuum. We'll flip it over so now we can install the side cleaning brushes, red to red, green to green. Red just snapped in, line the green one up and do the same thing, and then it snaps in. And now let's go ahead, let's attach our mop pad. We're gonna peel off what's already included. You'll see we have Velcro on this hard piece of plastic, and then we just follow the pattern to remove it to slide away. And we'll take our new mop pad here. We'll just line it up in this channel following the directional arrows, and we'll be able to slide it in place, and it will Velcro right on our vacuum. Now we have everything all set up and ready to go, so let's charge it up and try it out. All right, we just finished our first clean, so now let's look at the results. First thing I want to do is flip the vacuum over. We're going to check for tangles right here. Just a couple of hairs and threads in the vacuum. You will have to keep an eye on this. With this bristle brush design, they are more prone to attracting hairs and tangles, so make sure every once in a while you're looking at this, trimming it, pulling them off. Mop pad looks great, but again, this is cleaning the mop pad for us, so I'd expect that. It looks brand new. A couple of fuzzes and things on it, but again, everything as it should be. A little bit of dust here. I thought we'd have some tangles with hair here, but we don't. Again, that'll just vary, I think, depending on how hairy your household is. Everything else looks good. Let's go ahead, let's open up the dust bin. I did intercept it so it wouldn't self-empty. And let's see how the dust bin looks here in the filter. So we do have some hair in there. Let's go ahead and empty it out. First, I wanted to look at the filter here. So again, some good dust already collected on there. I mean, take a look at the outline of the filter. We'll put that back on. And then let's pop this open. We'll just gently dump all the contents out, but really fine dirt and dust. I mean, sand grains. I mean, look at all the particles still in there. But then everything that we just dumped out and emptied, obviously we got our pet hair, human hair, crumbs, and a lot of really fine dust and dirt particles. So that can be what you can realistically expect your vacuum to pick up as well going around your house. Now let's spend a minute looking at the Yeedi mobile app. This will just be a quick overview of some of the key features. This is what you can expect. Obviously your map will be different depending on your home environment. But up at the top we have our status right here, currently on standby, 98% battery, vacuum and mop normal and high for our settings. You'll see a cleaning history, status, and accessory option right there. We also have more settings in the top right-hand corner, so we get a breakdown of our accessory usage, which is nice to know when it's time to repair or replace. We can look at our cleaning history. So here's our full clean yesterday, basically 550 square feet, 76 minutes. So we have a nice record of that. Everything in blue is where the vacuum was able to go and navigate and clean. So nice breakdown there, lifetime as well. We can edit that cleaning history. We have a help section and we can learn more about our vacuum. We can also locate the vacuum. You'll see that down at the bottom. Looking at our main screen though, we got our map there. We can actually pick and choose rooms to clean if you want to do multiple rooms or a single room clean, or we can clean the whole area. We have this little arrow up at the top too. It's going to be our map settings, so we can add our virtual walls and barriers. So you can set up your no clean zone or no mop zones right there within the app. You can add them accordingly, just drag and drop position as you see fit. Color coded for you, so nice and easy. Then you can save your map. We can, divide the rooms, we can merge the rooms and relabel them. Ours was great, really happy with how it turned out. No need to edit that. And then you'll see we have our robot settings here, so basic or spot clean. And what settings do you want for either of those? So if we go to auto, you'll see that we have vacuum and mop or just vacuum settings. Let's go to vacuum and mop. You can see we can adjust our vacuum suction, quiet, normal, max, mopping, low, mid, or high. And if you want to do a quick or a full clean, and then we can hit the advanced option here. So customize room cleaning if you want to do that. You can tailor your cleans depending on the room, which is cool. Do you have a cleaning sequence you want? You can adjust that there. Do you want to set up a schedule? Do you want to turn on basically carpet detect? Definitely recommend that. And auto boost suction. Which one do you want? I would turn those on. Then you'll see do not disturb and resume cleaning. So nice advanced options there for our robot vacuum settings. And then you'll see we can also send it back home to recharge. And then the big blue play button at the center is how you actually start your clean. So a very simple app to navigate and find exactly what you're looking for. So how does the Cube stack up against the competition? We'll be comparing it not only to the overall averages of over 40 plus vacuums that we've personally tested and reviewed. We'll also be comparing it within Yeedi's own lineup. Specifically, we'll be looking at the ECOVACS samples that we've personally tested. So we'll cover some key metrics here that are good leading indicators to get a feel for its overall performance, quality, and value compared to the competition. So first up, we're looking at max suction power. This is measured in PAs, and the higher, the better usually. So 5,100 PAs, we're right basically at the brand average, but we're still 1,000 PAs over the typical RoboVac average. Next, we have max CFM. Same with this value, the higher, the better. Usually this gives us a nice indicator for its actual deep cleaning abilities. So we got a score of 6.1. We're about 3 points below the brand average and 1 point below the overall average. So where does that leave us with our real world results with our deep clean test? The best score you can get is 100. The Cube overachieved in my opinion. We got a score of 90, which is right at the brand average, which is great, and 5 points above the overall average. But again, for some of those lower metrics earlier that we looked at, it's great to see that they didn't matter in actual real world use. This performs very well cleaning that embedded dirt, dust, debris out of your carpets and flooring. Moving right along, let's talk about decibels. This is going to be how loud the vacuum is. So the lower the score, the quieter the vacuum. This came in at a max decibel readout measured on carpet with our carpet boost, all of that stuff, strongest suction, all of that enabled. We got a score of 71 decibels. 2 decibels below the brand average and 2 decibels above the overall average. The good news here is there's really really no distinguishable difference between the average RoboVac in regards to loudness and this RoboVac. Next, we have our battery life measured in minutes, 180-minute runtime and battery life with this vacuum. Again, that's all lab tested by Yeedi, so your results will vary depending on suction, mop settings, and your home environment. The overall brand average is 225 minutes, so we are below their brand average, but we're still a good half an hour above the overall average typical RoboVac of 155 minutes of battery life. So a leading indicator for your battery life is your battery capacity. This is measured in milliamp hours. So we have a 5200 milliamp hour battery in this vacuum. That's about 200 milliamp hours greater than the average for this brand. But our overall average is only 3600 milliamp hours. So you're seeing a pretty substantial and beefier battery in this unit. A lot of that's going to have to do with the fact that this unit also mops, right? So not only is it vacuuming, but it's mopping. So it's great to see we have that added capacity. Moving right along, let's talk about height. This is measured in inches. 3.9 inches is the height of our vacuum. That's right at the brand average, which is a little shocking to me since this doesn't have LiDAR navigation. It has a camera sensor up at the top. Usually when you forego that LiDAR module, you save a little bit of height there, so you have a smaller profile. In this case, though, it looks like we're holding basically that same average height due to the fact that we have that large water tank up at the top. So there's a trade-off there. Since this is housing all of its water for the mopping unit, we're going to have a taller vacuum, even though it doesn't have LiDAR navigation. As tested across the board, the average vacuum is very close in height at 3.6 inches, but that's a mix of vacuums that have LiDAR navigation and don't have LiDAR navigation. So usually, if they have LiDAR, they're right around this 3.7, 3.8 inch range. Next, let's talk about bin capacity. This is measured in milliliters. Don't forget, this does have a self-emptying base, so it's kind of a moot point because it can go back home and empty as needed. But this has a 360 milliliter dustbin. Usually you find smaller dustbins on vacuums that have self-empty because, again, like we just said, they can go back home and empty. So 360 milliliters for the internal dustbin. When you have a larger dustbin, that just means less trips to empty the bin yourself. So again, trade-off here is it self-empties, so it can be a little bit smaller, but you're not emptying it at all. So brand average 385 milliliters, so about 25 milliliters below the brand average. And you'll see the overall average 420 milliliters, but again, that is including vacuums that don't have a self-empty bin, so that skews that number higher. Then let's talk about our water tank capacity, also measured in milliliters. So this has a 1,000 milliliter water tank capacity. That's the largest water tank we've seen on a robot vac, not in a base station or anything like that that refill, but on a vacuum itself. So that's the key here. This one's larger than your typical mopping RoboVac because there's no clean water tank that you fill up on your station that then refills this unit. You do it directly on the vacuum itself. So we're about 3 times the average within ECOVACS and Yeedi's lineup because most of those models that we've tested have the ability to have a separate clean water reservoir that refills your vacuum with a smaller tank. Compared to all tested, you'll see we shatter that by about 4 times the average, but again, that includes vacuums that just have basically your mop drip tanks and they don't have any refilling. And that includes the average of mops that also can refill themselves. So you'll see that we're well above average with our water tank capacity. Also want to point out, I just like how this water tank looks. It's really cool that we can visually see the water moving as the vacuum's going around. Next, let's talk about our mop lift height for the cube. This is measured in millimeters. The higher the value, the better, because that means it's lifting the mop further up off the ground, giving you more coverage depending on the height of your carpets, rugs, things like that. 8 millimeters is the height that we have here for the mop lift up and off the floor. That's 0.5 millimeters below their brand average and 0.8 millimeters below the overall average. The highest we've seen for this is 15 millimeters to give you some perspective, and I believe the lowest is 5. So we're towards that average, typically, again, right around 8, 9, low end being 5, high end being 15. Last but not least, let's talk about the cost of this vacuum and how it stacks up against the competition. This will help us see and gauge for ourselves the value of the performance that we're getting out of this vacuum with its unique feature set. So compared to the Yeedi ECOVACS brand, about half the price, which is great. So the cost is about less than half of what you would pay for your typical average vacuum from them. But again, that skews higher for us because we cover their top of the line premium Ferrari vacuum cleaners. And then compared to our overall average, we're right there, maybe a couple bucks less than the typical average that covers every vacuum, right? From your entry level to your high performance top of the line, mix and match feature set, all of that good stuff. So very aggressively priced for what you get. Typically at this range, you will find the ability to self-empty, create some maps, and you might have like a drip gravity-fed mop. In this case, not only do we have, self-empty and mopping, we have mop pad lift, we have mop cleaning and drying. So we're seeing a much nicer feature set with this vacuum than you usually get. Typically, it's gonna cost you a couple $100 more to unlock those features. But I also want to point out, there are some other vacuums similarly priced that forgo the mop, but they might give you better obstacle avoidance or navigation, things like that. So there are some trade-offs, but typically when you're shopping for a vacuum, you're gonna want self-empty, you're gonna want mopping, and then if you can get the ability to clean, wash, and dry your mop, that's definitely worthwhile because that's one more step removing from you the burden of doing that puts back on your vacuum, because the whole point is you're buying this so it can clean and do all that for you so you can be freed up to do other things that you want to do. So where's that leave us with the Yeedi Cube? Well, here's what you need to know. So compared to the competition, usually you're going to find very similar features, right? Some sort of camera or LiDAR navigation for mapping and navigating, a self-empty base, and maybe a very basic mop. This one stands out with the ability for that mop to lift up and out of the way over carpets and for it to wash and dry itself. That's usually not found on vacuums in this range. It's usually found in premium flagship models and releases. So that's why this is such a great value. If you care about mopping a lot, that's where this one's gonna excel and you'll be really happy with it. There are still some things I'd want to see improved. So since this forgoes LiDAR navigation, I really wish the unit itself was shorter. If you're not going to have LiDAR, it's nice to have a shorter vacuum so it can get into those hard to reach areas. That's going to be your advantage of not having it. In this case, we don't have LiDAR and it's just as tall. Now I know it's that tall because the water tank, and I actually think the water tank built-in is really cool. No big deal to me, but maybe in the future they can redesign that or reconfigure the base station to have the water instead, but somehow still keep the costs down or at the same price point. Other than that, I'd like to see this have obstacle avoidance. That'll help you not to tidy your house as much. So if you have power cords, things like that, you want to make sure that everything's up and out of the way. Larger objects, not so much, but anything smaller laying on the floor, you're going to want to make sure you get that up. Also, if you have a lot of pets that poop or pee in the house, look out. But overall, very impressed with this unit for the value that it is compared to all the competition out there.